Welcome back to Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
So this week we have a person on our podcast who, one, Grandma is obsessed with, and two, he is younger than any of the guests we've had on before.
And terrific, charming, brilliant, talented. He's a great young man.
So his name is Eitan Bernath, and he is a chef. And the day after we talked to him, he actually went to the White House.
Right. And he looked very, very handsome. We saw the pictures.
Yes.
We looked him up.
So yeah, he showed us what he was wearing beforehand, but he posted it on Instagram too, his outfit. Very cool.
He's looked adorable, and he went down for actually, I think, the lighting of the Hanukkah menorah at the White House.
Yes.
So he's really very, very exciting, young, and I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah,
he's
and
really special, Kim.
And he has millions and millions of followers across all of his social platforms. So he's definitely a big deal. We're not the only ones who think that.
Okay, without further ado, let's speak to Eitan.
So guys, we are joined by Eitan Bernath. He's a 19-year-old chef, entertainer, author, more than I've accomplished, honestly, in my 25 years. He has a following of more than 6 million people across all social media channels. Grandma, do you know how many we have?
Not that
much.
A lot less than he has, that's for sure.
He's also a contributor for the Drew Barrymore Show, and you may have seen him on the Food Network. He was on Chopped at just 11 years old. Eitan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eitan.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to chat with you too.
Thank you. So let's start from the beginning. What started your interest in the culinary world?
I love eating, even though I don't look like it because I have the metabolism of a racehorse. I love food. I'm always eating, always thinking about food, eating food, watching videos about food. And, growing up, I just had this fascination and love of food. And around 8 or 9, I started cooking. And I never really fit in with like the little leagues or stuff like that. And so I was like, well, why don't you try to cook the food that you love to eat? So, I got in the kitchen and started cooking and just really fell in love with the kitchen. At first it started as just a way to literally just like do this, cook this, and you get to eat the food I wanted to eat. And then through that process of just basically making food, because I got to eat it, I realized that I love the creative process and, being able to create something and feed people and everything. And then, from that, eventually started documenting my food journey on social media, my blog. And I realized that, there were other people that also cared about my food journeys. And I realized that just as much as I love cooking, I also loved entertaining and educating people about food.
Interesting. You never had a desire to go to university or anything like that. This is a full-time career for you at this point, and a very successful one. Would you ever want to go back to a university type of situation where you could perhaps tell them how to cook and show them the way to set up programs as you've done? Or that's something that's in the past?
So I am 19 and I'm really fortunate and grateful that this is my full-time job, and Eitan Productions is my production company behind the Eitan Bernath brand. I currently have 5 full-time employees at Eitan Productions, so it's a pretty big operation. I still actually am enrolled at Columbia.
Oh, wow.
I've deferred again. We'll see what happens. But I still have the option on the table. So we shall see.
You're an inspiration. I was just curious. I wanted to get that on the table for any of our listeners and young listeners, that you are still enrolled, but you've got your career first.
She's the classic one who's like, stay in school, kids.
Yeah.
But they have to know that there are careers that don't necessarily need a university degree. And this is very exciting for those kind of kids to hear. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, both my parents work in education. So education's definitely really important. And even just deferring was a big thing for me to be able to convince my parents at the times. But yeah, I mean, education is so important. It's the most important thing. And I agree that for most people, going to college is something that's important to get a career. But like you said, not for every single person. I think it's definitely a fit for most people, a lot of people, some people not. I think each person's unique journey is really important. And I'm still trying to keep Columbia as something that I can do pending what my schedule is after this year of deferring is over.
Great.
Was your love of food passed down at all from your parents or even your grandparents?
Yes, everyone in my family. I mean, I come from a Jewish family, so
Everybody.
we love food. And yeah, I mean, food's always been a really big thing. My mom cooks a lot. Both my grandmas cook. My dad has like 5 or 6 dishes that he cooks, but like they're his specialty. He's the only one that makes them. He's really good at them. We kind of all back away, like his potato latkes, Hungarian goulash, his matzo balls. So yeah, it's always
Very traditional.
Kind of
He's a traditional
Yes.
cook. Now, how would you how would you say you're cooking? Yes, yours is not traditional. I'm sure.
Yeah, I would definitely say less traditional. You know, I mean, I do a wide range of cooking on social media. So, you know, I kind of divide my content into 2 pools. I have the kind of just like virally fun food, you know, to kind of attract an audience that maybe isn't as interested in cooking or just is starting to get interested in cooking. And I kind of use that content as a way to kind of reel them in and get them, hey, like, you like when I'm doing something crazy with food, like if I'm deep frying a steak, let's also show you something that's actual cooking and teach you. So yeah, I mean, I do crazy things with food for entertainment, but I also love to do, you know, real deal cooking and like teaching people recipes. And I would describe my kind of culinary point of view as international comfort food. You know, I really love that food that, you know, you eat when you want some comfort, when it's a cold day outside, that you eat with family, you eat with friends, that you, that's nostalgic, that you enjoy cooking. I think that for me is the type of food that I really gravitate towards.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I feel like I always love looking at these crazy cooking videos, like as you said, a deep frying a steak. But then I have issues when it comes to the basic, like turning the water on for pasta. Like, what do you think are some of the basics that maybe people around our age or even older who don't cook that much might forget about that is just essential?
I mean, yeah, I think the most important thing I say to people who want to start cooking is start off with food you already like eating. That's how I started cooking. You know, cooking, of course, can be frustrating. You can fail, you can burn things, you can make a mess. And I think if you start with attempting to make something you already know you like to eat, regardless of how much you fail in the process, you're probably still going to like it. Don't start cooking something that you've never had before, or that you don't know if you'll like. Because let's say you fail, maybe you make a mess, maybe you spill something at the end, after all that work, you might not really like it. And then you're going to feel discouraged. But if you at least start with cooking something that you know that you like to eat, except for extreme cases, no matter how much you fail or how many things go wrong, at the end of the day, you'll have something that you love to eat and you'll enjoy it.
I'd love you to get me to take a cooking class with Eitan. I'd love it.
I know. It's funny because I'm probably the worst and you're probably the best that we know. So,
well, it's all about doing it. I mean, it's all about doing it.
Yeah,
you know, you haven't had that much practice in the kitchen. You're sort of better on takeout. So I think you have to learn at a basic.
I like takeout too. There's no shame in takeout. I like takeout as well.
Do you have any spots in the city or in New York that you like ordering from?
So I live on the Lower East Side, and I live pretty close to Little India, and I love Indian food. So I would say I order Indian takeout probably 5 to 7 meals a week. I get breakfast a lot of times. I get a masala dosa. I have like really packed days. I start work every day around 5 and go until around 6 or 7 p.m., sometimes later. So I always want to make sure I have a lot of fuel. And one of the things I think that helps me stay excited throughout the day about the food is also eating really good food. And a lot of times for camera, the food you're making isn't always what you want to eat when you make it. Like, for example, sometimes I'll film a video making mac and cheese at 5 a.m. I don't necessarily want to eat that at 5 a.m. So for me, it's important to, I'll order masala dosas. I love anything Indian. I love vegetarian Indian food.
Interesting.
Are you the kind of person who's always thinking about their next meal? Like, I feel like there's half the population around lunch, they're already thinking about dinner. And then the other half, it's like, oh, I don't think I've eaten today. Like, what should we have? I think about meals way in advance. So something that I haven't announced yet, but when this comes out, it'll already be posted. Tomorrow, I'm actually, I was invited to go to the White House. Wow.
So for context, I mean, people are listening won't be able to see this, but I'll show you two. I actually have on my calendar for tomorrow an event on my calendar called Food in DC. That is literally just okay, of course I can't find it now, but it's literally, I just have something on my calendar with all the food recommendations I've gotten from DC so I can pre-plan every meal I'm going to eat. So I think about food very far in advance.
So are you excited for your visit? Are you preparing anything, or how's it going to go down?
To be honest, when you guys are listening to this, you'll know more than me. I don't really know too much, to be honest. I think for security reasons, they don't tell you too much. But I have a really great fit. I'm very excited for that. I already picked out my outfit. And
this is
because she doesn't know.
This is Kimberly's major thing. What are you going to wear?
No, because people say fit, it means outfit.
Yeah, so I'm wearing this velvet double-breasted blazer that I got. So these really cool, like Jimmy Choo, it's like they're like these one-of-a-kind. They only made one of these. It's like these like crazy Jimmy Choos.
We love the shoes. We love the shoes.
So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, no, I planned food out way in advance.
So when you go to the White House or any of these things, is this because they're attracted to your youth and what you've accomplished so far, or is it because you don't have your own restaurant yet? I'm sure you will. But how did they find out about you? Is it from social media, or is it from your TV appearances? What do you think is your main? How do you get the hook into these guys that they find you?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. This opportunity specifically, I believe, was because a few months ago, I did an interview where for my social media, I interviewed Dr. Fauci about the importance of getting vaccinated. I, throughout the whole pandemic, have been trying to use my social media to encourage people to care about other people and do what they can to protect others. My grandfather, unfortunately, was one of the first few thousand people to pass from COVID in March of 2020.
Or was he at home or in a nursing home?
He was at home.
He was at home. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, so that was an amazing opportunity at the time to speak to Dr. Fauci because getting vaccinated for me was a very emotional experience. When I was there, I was uncontrollably crying just because it was like a very almost like freeing experience. And it was so much so that the nurses were running to me thinking that I was having an allergic reaction to it, which is a little bit funny because they were like very concerned that I was like having like convulsion reactions to it, but it was just me crying. But I think that for me, that was an incredible opportunity to, to be able to speak to someone that throughout the pandemic has helped me, feel like there's hope for other people so they don't have to experience what we experienced. And so I think from that opportunity, that's how I kind of got in contact with them. And then I was really stoked when they invited me for this. It's Hanukkah. I don't know too many details, but I know it's some holiday type of celebration. My outfit's kind of inspired by Hanukkah. I have all the blue. I have a Jewish star necklace. I'm actually going to be wearing a ring that was my grandpa's ring at the White House. So I'm going to have him with me there, which is really meaningful.
Great.
So you're close with both of your grandmas, as you were saying before. Since we are a dating podcast and kind of how this started is that I share everything with her. What is your relationship like with your grandmas? And do you talk to them ever about dating or relationships?
Well, I have a non-existent love life, so I have nothing.
Well, how could you have a love life? You're locked into your room cooking all day, and you're only 19. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, so I have no love life to talk to them about. So I would say I don't. They definitely do ask me often when I'm going to have a girlfriend, and the answer is eventually once I have free time. But yeah, no, I don't just because I have no tea to spill to them, but I'm sure once I do, I will. For me right now, I used to basically work nearly 24/7. I used to start working around 5 and end work at like 11 p.m. and then I would sleep for like 5-6 hours, which I do not recommend to anyone. Not healthy. And about a month or two ago, I now started having free time. Crazy concept. So I now take off most evenings. I take off the weekends. I used to work all day Sunday, and I try to do fun things most Sundays. I think right now, I don't think I'd be a good boyfriend to someone right now. And I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone and set up for failure. I wouldn't want anyone to I just wouldn't want to be a bad partner to someone. So it's not something I'm really pursuing right now, just because I just started getting better at having free time. I'm really working on solidifying that because, there's always kind of new things, new curveballs, things that happen during the week. So I'll go into a week being oh, great, I have 4 nights this week where I can go do fun things. Then all of a sudden Monday comes and now I could do 2. It's definitely something I'm interested in. And I'm hoping over the next few months, once I get even better at having free time, that maybe that's something I could explore. But meeting people in the city is hard. So
it's hard. It is hard. We've discussed this a lot on the podcast. And I'm going to ask you a question. If you had any place you wanted to travel to cook, because I'm dying to do a cooking class somewhere abroad, where would be the place that you would love to go?
Definitely India.
Have you been?
I have not.
Oh, I've been. So it's
amazing.
It's fascinating.
I was supposed to go on a graduation trip after I graduated high school. Obviously, because of COVID, that didn't happen. But I'm hoping to eventually go. And actually in a few weeks over Christmas and New Year's break, Eitan Productions is closed for that week and a half. And I'm going to be going with a few friends to Italy and Paris. So I am very excited about food.
We'll be in Paris also.
We're going to be in Paris in January. So we're going to follow you up. We
want
amazing. Where you're going to eat. Yeah. Because if you have anything really spectacular, any bistro or a little place that you
I will be posting.
Share. Okay. Kimmy will follow you because we want to know.
Amazing.
We're going about 10 days after you are. We're going after New Year's.
Oh, amazing. Yes, I'm really excited. That'll be so fun.
Oh, yeah, so it's great.
It'll be so nice to travel. So with going back a little bit to your social media, how did it grow to be such a huge following?
Yeah, so I had a lot of my growth during the pandemic. A lot of people got newly interested in food. Everyone was stuck home. They needed to start cooking. They couldn't go out to eat as much. So I think that was definitely something that really helped. And also just personally for me, I was home a lot more and a lot more time to film videos, a lot more time to do that. So TikTok really started growing. Honestly, like also right before the pandemic, it's when I started growing pretty rapidly. And then throughout the pandemic, kept growing on there. Facebook is actually my biggest platform. I have 3 million members of my Facebook family on there. And that's also been really successful in the pandemic. Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat. I have a show on Snapchat that has been growing really rapidly. It gets around 10 million viewers every month. So I think all the socials, it's really just been, I've been spending the last 2 years in this pandemic. There's been lots of time. So just really trying to figure out what do people want to see? How do you reach different audiences? A big misconception people ask me a lot is all your followers must be children or teens, but really the overwhelming majority of my following are adults. And so a big strategy that I'm always working on is figuring, okay, what do the adults who are primarily on Facebook want to see on Facebook? What does the younger audience on TikTok want to see? What do the younger audience on Snapchat want to see? What do the people on Instagram want to see? YouTube. So it's really all about thinking about okay, who's your audience and what do they want to see? And then trying to cater to that.
You said you're doing a book or you did a book.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So my debut cookbook, I actually don't have the book yet, but I have a very large version of the cover right over here.
Oh, nice. For the viewers, he looks very handsome in his blue shirt.
Thank you. Eitan Eats the World is now available for pre-order everywhere books are sold and on eitaneatstheworld.com. All major retailers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, everything. And Eitan Eats the World is my first cookbook. It has 85 of my favorite comfort food recipes from around the world. I've spent the past about year, 2 years really working very hard on it. Everyone that I've ever spoken to, and I told that I was doing a cookbook, who has written a cookbook has said to me good luck. Cookbooks are a beast. There's so much that goes into it, but it was a really fulfilling and exciting process.
Are the recipes simple? Are the recipes on the simple side or are they a little complicated? In other words, could a beginning cook pick up your cookbook and really do the recipe, or they need to be a little more experienced?
So I tried to arrange. That's one of the things I really worked hard with this book is that there are recipes in this that should be accessible and doable for new cooks in the kitchen, but then also recipes to push comfortable cooks in the kitchen out of their comfort zone. So, I have recipes like my PB&J pancakes, super easy, super delicious. It teaches the reader about making buttermilk pancakes, why that's important, but it's easy. You mix together ingredients, cook it like normal pancakes. I then have things that are a little more complicated in there, like how to make homemade General Chow's chicken or hummus basar. So my goal with the book is to kind of start you out with all right, here's a bunch of things you can make super accessible. As you're getting more comfortable, here's some things to keep pushing you out. So I think with this book, because my audience is so varied, I really tried to make it appeal to children, teens, adults, older people. And I think what I'm really trying to let people know that it's something that I've now learned in the book process is pre-orders are like the most important part of a book's success. The sales of a book actually before the book comes out are like the most important sales, which is very interesting. You know, that's how you get on the New York Times bestseller list. All those bestseller lists, they actually all are how much your pre-orders were. So if anyone is interested in buying the book, now is the best time. And I'm really excited just to I really feel like it's like the culmination of my culinary journey. You know, I've been cooking now for over a decade, which is crazy because I'm 19, but I started when I was around 8 or 9. And I'm just so excited. Like these are recipes. Like are you guys good at keeping secrets?
Yeah, sure, but don't.
She's really good.
I'm very good.
I'm horrific.
One hand out the other.
I am horrible. If a thing all my friends know is if they want a secret, if they have a secret, don't tell me. Like I just like, do not tell me. I will tell someone. I'm bad at keeping secrets. At least I'm self-aware. So I think the hardest part of writing this book was that there's so many recipes in here that I like developed and then was so excited to share, but I had to wait.
Right.
So I'm like so excited for it to like go out into the universe and people get to see them because I hate keeping secrets.
2 follow-up questions. One is, are there any recipes either in the book, if you can share them, or outside the book that your grandma likes when you make?
Yeah, so actually, both my grandmas have recipes in the book. My grandma Linda's chicken soup. It's called.
We need that right now. Kimberly has a cold.
Oh, there you go. Everyone thinks their grandma makes the best chicken soup, but mine actually does. And if you disagree, you're wrong. So I have her chicken soup recipe with my dad's matzo balls, and then my grandma Bobby always makes a really great gazpacho. And her gazpacho recipes in the book. So it was really important for me in this book to have my family in it. You know, every single member of my family is represented in this book, whether it's one of their recipes or a recipe they love to eat. So I'm really excited to have that, especially my grandma's.
Well, we love generational here on this podcast, as
yes.
you can see.
Exactly. My other question was, it's interesting to me because with the rise of these videos, you know, the ones that you do, or even Tasty and all of these things, that people are still buying cookbooks and wanting that in their home, and just, you know, to have something accessible and tangible.
Yes.
I like to look off a cookbook. I find it very interesting. And I actually love the pictures. So, I mean, I know people do things online, but I like the actual book. I like to look at it. I like to see the recipe. And I always mark the ones that I like the best for whatever reason. I have like little paper things in my old cookbooks.
But the modern equivalent, right, would be like, there's the videos, so that's the pictures too, and then you can kind of save them in the same way.
Yeah, but you're much better at that. I still like the actual. I'm still reading actual books. I don't love reading off a Kindle.
When you're cooking, Eitan, is there a way that you like to follow a recipe the most? Like, do you think you look more at cookbooks or online?
Yeah, I mean, I think a bit of both. I love cookbooks. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, my entire top shelf on my desk was all books. If you look at my kitchen now, I have tons of cookbooks all over the kitchen. I really do love cookbooks, and kind of like you're saying, I like tangible books. I mean, so much on the internet. I actually just recently got back into reading. For the past bunch of years of my life, I never read books. And I just got back into it, and I love it. I now read a lot. And I definitely think that just like when reading a literature book, for me, it's the same as a cookbook. Like, there's just something special about like a book you can physically hold. You know, you can like sit on the couch, scroll through it. There's just something about like owning it and having that paper that to me is really special. And, you know, just like sometimes there's like little stains in the book from when you were cooking in it. There's fold. I also feel like something that's great about cookbooks, and especially I definitely know with my book, is there's a different sense of quality in the recipes. Recipes for cookbooks are tested way more than recipes online. So just for context, every recipe in Eitan Eats the World was tested at least 5 to 8 times after it was developed.
Job to be a taste tester for a cookbook.
Yeah, well, it's a cooking. You also have to cook it. You don't just taste it. So aside from like obviously the development process that I did, every single recipe in the book was cooked by 4 other people, not just me, after I developed it.
Right.
And then they made sure that every recipe worked in their kitchen. So like, for example, I even had some baking recipes that somebody was testing a recipe I wrote was like in some part of the country, the elevation's higher. And we had to think about, for the baking recipe, how do we make sure that this works both at my elevation and their elevation, so that people around the country around the world can use it. So I think also with a book, you know that when you're making a recipe, there's a greater sense of like, it's going to work. Whereas online, you don't know. You might Google a recipe, find a blog, maybe that person made it once and took a photo. This book, every recipe has been tested to make sure to work every single time you make it.
So I wanted to talk about a little bit, you often talk about being a feminist. How did you kind of get involved in that movement, and what does being a feminist mean to you?
Yeah, so ever since I was a little kid, even before I knew about the word feminist, I kind of showed out, I couldn't comprehend why like being a feminist wasn't just like the norm, like just like you breathe, you believe that women should have equality. Like I didn't know that it was something that needed to have a word, just like there's no word for people that support drinking water. Like I always just assumed it was a given. And growing up, from as young as my parents remember me being, even before I can remember, I was always get very confused when I'd be in situations where there would be inequality, or I'd hear people saying things that were sexist and things like that. And as I got older and learned more words, I eventually learned that there's a word for this, and that unfortunately there needs to be a word for this, because it's unfortunately not the given. And once I learned about it and learned about feminism and learned that there was this word to describe like what it means that women should have equal rights, socially, economically, everything. There was this word, and that it was something that you actually needed to be vocal about, because unfortunately not everyone feels that way. And growing up, my mom, I kind of grew up around a lot of strong women. My mom, both my grandmas worked, and for me it was just like, it took me a while to understand that like this wasn't like not normal, but like I always was shocked when people would be shocked that I was a feminist as like a little boy. But I think for me, what it means for me is just like it makes no sense to me why everyone wouldn't support equality for men and women. And it's weird. I find it really weird. I don't get it. It's one of those things. I just don't get why it's not a normal thing. And for me, I think what that means practically, the way I try to live my life, is making sure to be vocal on my social media, saying that really is important to me is access to education. Most of the money that I donate to helping fund women's education in countries where they're traditionally denied it, because education is power. Education can make the women work. They can help support themselves, their families. I think that's really important. Everything from as little as in my apartment, my roommate is also a guy, but in our bathrooms, we have tampons and pads for any girls or women that come in the apartment, and just making sure that to destigmatize things like that. Like there's no reason, if you're a guy, have those in your apartment. If you have girls over, like they need them. People need them. You should have them. So I think it's just everything.
I'm in love with you.
Posting about it to as small as just helping to be accommodating.
Mm-hmm. No, that's so nice. That's such a good idea of just something small, because I feel like on a day-to-day, like I talk to my guy friends and they're like, yeah, of course I'm a feminist. But it's like, when someone says something misogynistic, like, do you say something? Like, how can you be more aware on a day-to-day as a man, especially, a young man, about these kind of things?
I was just going to say, I think also we in America, it's much different than if you go to Asia or to the Middle East. And I mean, where there are really issues, we're lucky here. We have people like Eitan speaks out, and we know about it. There are certainly people who have a problem here in America or in the democratic countries, but there is a whole culture out there that does not believe women are equal. So, it's going to be generations and generations to educate them. And we need people like you to speak out, because you have a vocal voice. And we try a little bit on our podcast as well. But there is an issue, I mean, worldwide, about women. And, it's not an easy role, especially since it is cultural in a lot of societies.
Yeah, no, the way I see it is like, I have no interest in being at a forefront of anything. Like it is not, men are not needed at the forefront of the movement. But I think it's just important, you know, even like as a young kid, like in school, when boys would say things that were misogynistic, or, you know, make a joke like, oh, that girl's on her period or something like that. And, you know, being like, hey, like, that's not okay. Like, that's biological. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with that. And I think it's just little things like that. And, you know, it's just those small things, like you said, like if you're, especially as a guy, like if one of your friends makes a misogynistic comment or says something sexist, it's like it's not fun or comfortable to confront someone like that. But little things like that really can help. I know in high school and elementary school, I would do that often. And maybe it's not always the cool thing to do, or it could be seen as weird, but like, I think it's really important. And I think each person can, you know, help in their own little way. And even if that person maybe is like, you're stupid, like, I don't care. But like, even if one person maybe then thinks like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, that could really help. So I think it's just like small little things. You know, obviously it's a, like you said, it's a worldwide problem. It's not something you could solve by yourself, but I think it's those little things that really can go a long way and be meaningful to people.
I agree.
So I want to end the episode with a game we play with all of our guests, Grandma Gail's old-fashioned dating quiz. So a lot of they're kind of hypothetical, how you feel about them, but we'll go through a few things and we will deem at the end whether you are an old-fashioned dater, like more traditional, or more of a modern dater.
And no pressure. There's no pressure. Because half the time Kimmy makes up these questions, I don't understand them. So here we go.
Thanks for crediting my producer skills. Okay, so first one, would you rather get a call from a date or a text?
Call. The only caveat to that is my phone's on Do Not Disturb the entire workday because I'm always filming. Yeah. So I can't really answer calls during the workday, but outside of the workday, definitely a call. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a big FaceTimer. Like I'll like I know it's like more of like a Gen X or Gen Z, whatever you want to call it thing, but like I'll like just FaceTime someone. Like, hi, like I just want to talk to you, talk to your face. So funny. I'm not like that yet, but a lot of my friends are. Okay, so would you sleep with someone on the first date? I like to get to know people. Okay. Dating apps or setups? We kind of talked about this, but honestly, at this point, I'll do anything. But I definitely think meeting someone in person, like I feel like, you know, I tried to go to Chabad. I went to a Chabad a few Friday nights ago. I think, you know, I think meeting someone in person would be ideal, but I'm open to whatever. Mm-hmm. So would you move in with the person before getting engaged or wait until after? I don't know. I'm 19, so I think these are a little, not really thinking about that yet. I mean, I'm definitely in a unique situation where I already like control my own finances and I have my own home and everything. So that adds other factors. I'm not really sure I haven't really thought that far.
You don't need to. You don't need to.
Okay. And then do you think that you should alternate paying for the date or that one person in the relationship should always pay?
I think both. I mean, I am super, part of being a feminist is not the biggest fan of chivalry. I think you should treat everyone nicely, not just because someone's a woman. So I think it's each person's situation. But in general, I mean, I think that, I think also sometimes it could be like a weird, like power dynamic. If the guy pays for everything where like the woman can feel like they like owe the guy something. So I definitely think that, I mean, I love treating people to things. I do it quite often. But at the same time, I think it could create a power dynamic. So I think for me, I definitely would want to do like a mix. Like, I think it's kind of like sometimes maybe I'll treat you, sometimes you'll treat me. I think it's always fun to do that. But at the same time, I think like, as a feminist, I think also that women should also pay sometimes. Yeah, it's so interesting to me because I like to say I'm a feminist, but then I also believe in chivalry. So then, like, well,
it's like romantic in you.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, elements of it, I think, but like I'm not gonna go slap a woman.
No, but like holding the door open, like let's say you're holding the door open for a woman, but not for a man. I think that was like Curb Your Enthusiasm when it like hit him in the face. He's like, "You're not gonna hold the door for me," but I would aim to do whatever type of things you would do, especially because of chivalry for women. I would just try to do for everyone. But yeah, I think it should be like, I think it should be mutual. Sometimes like
it's like, I think it's all about just like putting an effort. I think something for me in general, I've never dated someone, so I don't know if it's dating, but I think in my friendships is something I do with my personally, it's like I kind of like a 3 strikes rule that I really think it's important in any relationship for both people to put an effort. So something that I do with myself is like, I'm a big like initiator of plans. But because of that with friends is I'll try 3 times to hang out with someone. If it doesn't happen after my 3rd try, it's on them.
See?
Their turn to try.
Grandma Gail rule.
If
That's
they,
a grandma
if
rule.
right? Oh yeah, it's a good rule.
Absolutely. 3 times, and if it doesn't work, you're out.
Because this is the thing. It's like if they wanted to, they would do it. Like at the 3rd try, they would, if they really want to and you're a priority, then they're going to initiate it. And if after 3 tries they haven't made, because here's the thing, everyone has time for what's important to them. And it's the first thing I said. It's like I don't, for example, I don't say that I don't have time right now to have a girlfriend. It's not my priority. Everyone has time. Beyonce has time. I have time. Everyone has time, and I think that it's easy to be like, oh, I don't have time. No, it's not a priority.
So Eitan, you were pretty much split on this quiz, so I don't think we have a end
whether he's old fashioned or he's modern. He's
maybe
everything.
Maybe we could do a follow-up round after in like a year or 2 when I actually start dating people, because then maybe I'll have like more firm answers.
Exactly.
We also have the quiz on TikTok and like a put a finger down old fashioned, which with more questions.
Amazing.
Want to do it, so that'll work too.
Perfect.
Eitan, thank you so much for joining us. Tell people how they can follow you and eventually pick up your cookbook.
Yes, you can follow me on all the socials at Eitan, E-I-T-A-N. My name is spelled nothing like it's pronounced. E-I-T-A-N, Facebook and Twitter are Eitan Bernath, my full name. You can pre-order Eitan Eats the World. Everywhere books are sold, pre-orders are super important. It's the number 1 way you can support everything I do. And yeah, I'm super excited to just, be on this journey with my book and everything coming up. I love food. I love getting other people excited about food.
But we love you. I'm now.
Thank you.
This is the best. So I'm going to follow you from now on. I'm going to learn something. So thank you.
Yes, much. This was so fun. My grandmas are going to love listening to this episode. They're going to ask me when I'm ready to start dating people. They always are curious. So this will definitely reignite that curiosity.
Another great episode of Excuse My Grandma. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Excuse My Grandma. Subscribe to our podcast. If you guys are listening, you can listen on Spotify, Apple, you know the drill. And see you next week.
Bye.